All right, everyone. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Contractually Speaking, our Malbek podcast. I am Matt Patel, your host, and I have the pleasure of having Devon from Epiq, one of our alliance partners, doing a lot of CLM implementations. How you doing, Devon?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Every CLM implementation, there's that one task, one part of the project that is absolutely painful: data migration. It's needed. It's necessity. You got to move your data from existing CLM if you're replacing an older CLM, or if it's your first CLM, then you have a lot of signed copies of contracts all over the place, and they have to be brought into the new CLM you roll out. Your thoughts on how that process should be thought of, designed, and what the expectations should be?
Yeah. So this is near and dear to my heart because I started out in CLM on a data migration delivery team, validating extracted data from contracts, all those things. So I know the tedious nature of making sure you have good data. So I think from my perspective, a lot of it starts with not thinking you're going to boil the ocean and bring everything over at once. It's really about making sure you understand the current state of your data if you're coming from another CLM. If you're not and you have no metadata, what really are kind of priority contracts that are going to make sense to move over, either active agreements, strategic agreements, and also making sure that you understand that to migrate a contract, you have to have a home in CLM.
That's right.
So you might have tens and thousands of contracts, but maybe in phase one, you're focused on 3 contract types. So what makes it easier is to say, okay, I need to look at these contract types. What's of value that's going to have a home in phase one to really focus on and prioritize?
And no matter what anyone says, I'm going to say it how it is. It's hard. This is not an easy thing. There's no AI solution in the world that you click a button and magically all the documents are extracted, indexed, and searchable, reportable. There is a process. There is some manual work required, because the reality is it's not just a matter of taking your PDFs, doing OCR on it if they're images, and making it all searchable. You want to extract data. You want to make key information reportable, searchable, not just text search, but when is the renewal date? What is the auto renew period, notification period? What is the payment term? What is the liability, insurance, audit, whatever the provisions that you want to track for different agreement types, you got to extract all that. And while AI has evolved a lot, there's still that human oversight and accuracy check that you need to estimate. And that comes at a cost, right? And in terms of services, people underestimate what it takes.
They certainly do. And one of the things that I think sometimes also gets lost is that contracts are generated and negotiated by people. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times there might be things you're expecting to see in your legacy of contracts, but it's not there, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of that kind of human touch is almost like recognizing edge cases and things you might have not anticipated or accounted for in your data model, which is why it's of value to invest in that, right? Because migration isn't just about moving the data over. It's also kind of about learning about your past contracting habits too. And that's where I think a lot of the value is.
And I haven't even touched on the relationships. You'll have your master agreements, your amendments, parent-child relationships. If you don't have a system in place now and all you have is a bunch of signed PDFs with some file naming that tells you, this is the first amendment, this is the second amendment, this is the master, this is the SOW, you're relying on AI and technology to figure out the sequence of those contracts, which ones are in order and which one supersedes the prior one, which terms are the most recent. And even though the preamble or the first section might call out this is amendment number 4, that's still text, and it could be worded in so many different ways. And if you really want to migrate and have all of that hierarchy in the most accurate, correct order, there's definitely a human involvement.
Yeah. And it is interesting to me being involved in some of these projects that a lot of customers don't understand how their files are even structured, right? They might think, oh, the MSA is in one file and the amendment's in another, so that you can kind of link those. But a lot of times we find there's multiple contracts from different areas in one PDF. Yeah. And to your point, AI isn't going to be able to tell you that that's what's happening and be able to say, oh, amendment 5, change the end date to this, right?
Yeah.
in the same file as the MSA. So one of the things I think is also super important is to do that assessment up front about what do you have to work with and where should the effort be focused for you to get value.
Absolutely. So in the end here, as we close up, legacy migration, key part of every project, often done in phases. So if your goal is to go live within 3 months, let's say, and you want searchable data for your supplier agreements or your commercial sales agreements, focus on that. Then do the next phase. All of the migration doesn't have to be done in one shot. And definitely carve out enough time and resources and budget for that part of the project, because that is very different from the configuration of your templates and clauses and workflows.
Yeah, you definitely should have kind of a data migration team lead on your side and be able to do those things so that you can focus on it. A lot of times it kind of is super important from a user adoption perspective. That's why when we plan migrations, we like to make sure that we have a manageable scope so that we can get data in front of customers during UAT, so they can get that real experience of what it feels like to look for a contract and see what kinds of data they're going to be able to find. So again, super important to have some dedicated resources to that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Devin, and we will talk again soon.
Thanks, Matt.